If you haven't watched my previous video on Audra Winter, I would suggest you go watch that first so you get the background of this situation. But since I made that video talking about Audra, things have just continued to develop. My name is Taylor Rose, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything reading and writing. So where we left off in my previous video was Audra's sort of apology on TikTok, where she gave a lot of excuses for why this draft of the book was so bad, blamed the Kindle version for having all the mistakes and not being edited somehow. She did say she was going to get another editor, but she also said she was going to be taking a break. So you can see that she posted this on the 29th of July. The very next post she makes is talking about her next move. So you can see she says, "This coming Monday, August 4th, I'll be making a big announcement. I've been absorbing all the feedback on the Age of Scorpius, and it's become clear I missed the mark. My team and I are cooking up a way to make it right. I'm determined to make this book the best it can be. Until Monday, I'm staying offline. This situation took a huge toll on all aspects of my health, and I've only just begun to recover from the most heartbreak and humiliation I've ever experienced. Though receiving tough criticism is part of being an artist, I've also encountered hurtful rumors, misinformation, and occasional cruelty coming through both my public and private comments and messages. It got so severe that TikTok stepped in and placed my profile under an anti-bullying protection. I'm aware that Goodreads froze the book's page, but I haven't yet heard from them as to why. I'll update you as soon as I know more. Thank you for your criticism, encouragement, and understanding. All of this has driven me to get back up and do it better than ever. See you soon." To me, that's kind of the same message she gave in the previous one. I can't say I've ever heard of anti-bullying protection on TikTok, but it could exist. This is where it gets interesting. She follows this up with a video on August 4th. So this is her announcement that she's making.
I am going to be redoing this book. My entire life flipped upside down. I was in so much shock that I absolutely lost sight of what was most important, and that was delivering my voice and my story in the best way that I could. I did myself an injustice, and I did my story an injustice, but I don't give up. I especially don't give up on the thing that matters the most to me, and that is storytelling and bringing other people joy. So here is what I am doing to make that right. We're re-releasing the entire thing. I have taken the feedback and the criticisms that I've received, especially in the past week, and I have discussed them and processed them in this time that I was not on the app. And I genuinely so badly want to make this the best that it can be. I am recruiting a copy editor and a proofreader from my audience. So people that are watching my videos, because I am receiving a lot of wonderful feedback. And I do have a lot of authors and writers and editors who follow me, and there are people who want to help, and I'm seeing that and I'm recognizing that. So I want to be able to find someone from my readers and from the people who are supporting me to be on my team. I will be opening on.
Girl, be for real. Be so for real. You don't know these people in your comments. You don't know what sort of expertise they have. I mean, okay, I guess holding auditions might help, but you need a professional with a proven track record. At the very least, if you're not going to completely rewrite this.
Auditions for that on Tuesday. It's literally just going through the first chapter of the book and marking it up as much as you can. We're going to be looking at the different styles, and
Even worse.
then we'll be doing onboarding by the end of next week for these revisions to start. Some of the things that we have already looked at changing and have plans to change would be the narration style and the voice, exposition, obviously copy edits and line edits and removing those errors, content addition and revision, more charts and guides, and dialogue. While we're doing these revisions, it is only fair to you guys.
So everything? Everything in the book? Okay.
To be able to see what improvements we're making if you want to continue to support us or be like, nope, this isn't my thing. So we are going to post those revised chapters as we're going up until December on Patreon for free. So free to public, free to access. We're not going to be doing all of them, but definitely enough for you to get a good idea of what are the improvements that we're making, what are the things that we're changing, and what direction are we going into. Once we are fully confident that this is what we are going to put out to the world, we are offering anybody who has bought any version of the book a free digital copy. You can go onto our website and we have a form for that, where if you want to put in the order number from whatever platform you bought the book on, you can put yourself on a list to receive a digital copy once we finished and have that ready in December. On top of that,
If they actually do this, good for them. I mean, I would be pretty disappointed that the fancy version I paid $40+ for isn't actually readable, but I guess you can read it on your phone as an alternative.
there were 5,000 excited readers for this hardcover and for this book. And so we are going to redo the hardcover. We're going to redo the limited edition hardcover. We're going to do another hardcover run of 5,000. And it's going to be released in December as well. For those of you that bought the hardcover already, we are offering a 50% discount on a $30 book. The price is going up a little bit because we're improving the quality of the book as a whole, not just the writing. We're adding more art and more involvement.
Okay. $25. Already 10% off. I guess this is just the book was 22. I've definitely heard people showing screenshots saying that they paid $40, but I guess that was for like a package deal. Still.
From a whole creative team, and the features of the book, different cover, different interior, different end pages, sprayed edges.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. I mean, I guess there's that girl with like 12 versions of Fourth Wing, but she didn't buy them before even reading the book. You know, like I imagine she read Fourth Wing first and then decided to collect these special editions, not right off the boat with it.
Going all out. We're going all out. But if you're somebody who has already purchased the hardcover and you do want to give us another chance, or you do want to read the story again, it's available for $15 there. We also do have it on the TikTok shop. If you're somebody new to my page who has found me and the chaos that this has been, if you want to support us. The paperback listing that is already on the TikTok shop, we are pushing that back to December, and I'm sorry about that, but we want to deliver you a quality copy. That one is going to remain the same as what is on the listing, so it'll have the cover and the sprayed edges and the interior illustrations. We just want to make sure we're updating the writing content and the interior content to be up to par to the standard that we are releasing with the revised second edition. At the time I posted
This feels like a lot of word salad. And I can't say I've ever seen a paperback with sprayed edges, but I might just be out of the loop on special editions.
this video, our print on demand versions of this book will be completely discontinued. So that first version is no longer available. I am not selling it anywhere. And that is because we want to put out the best version of the story that we can. And that best version is going to be the second version that we are making.
Why didn't you put in all this effort for the first version? I don't know. You don't need a team of 15 artists for a novel.
I learned a big lesson throughout all of this, and that lesson being misunderstanding. I wrote a book about misunderstanding and I felt misunderstood. This is something that I have been grappling with my entire life. I am somebody who is neurodivergent, and I was afraid of being interpreted wrong because of this, because I do know that I write in a different voice, in a different style, in a different perspective. I had intended this book to be read.
She's acting like this was some sort of monumentally special version of writing. I don't know. Like, I hate to say it, there are very few books I've read where I've just been so blown away by how uniquely written it was. My favorite book ever, Deathless by Catherine Valente. I might be mispronouncing that. It is extremely poetic, very heavy with metaphors. Like, I felt like her writing style is extremely unique. N.K. Jemisin in the 5th season, writing from second person POV, that's extremely unusual, especially for a fantasy, sci-fantasy novel. She's writing a run-of-the-mill fantasy book, which nothing's wrong with run-of-the-mill fantasy. I love run-of-the-mill fantasy, but
that way. But it did not land at all in the way that I was expecting. That does not mean I am removing that identity or that representation from my text. I am going to do it better so it matches what my audience's expectations are. And I want to have a book that is enjoyable to read and understand. I was scared when
one book that I've heard a lot of like discourse on it being from like a neurodivergent POV is The Convenience Store Woman. And it was originally written in Japanese, and it's about I think she's in her 30s. She goes to work at a convenience store instead of like a real job. Real job, especially in Japanese society. It's like they tend to have pretty stringent ideas on like what qualifies as like what you're supposed to be doing, especially as a woman. Most get married and then become stay-at-home moms. The point being, it's like about her journey to find herself, not according to like societal expectations. And a lot of people read it and have said that they felt like the main character was displaying symptoms of being neurodivergent. It's on my TBR. It would probably be worth it for her to find examples of other books like that to see how they're doing it in a way that is still, I don't want to say palatable, but easily consumed by the audience. Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to write from a very specific perspective, but you have to be able to portray it in an understandable way. And given how people have reacted to what she wrote, clearly that wasn't the case with The Age of Scorpius.
I released this and I got defensive. And that was wrong. On that note, I will not be engaging with my comments anymore. I want to be able to respect the space of my readers and them discussing amongst themselves. And I want them to feel safe doing that. And if my page is where they feel safe doing that, it's welcome. And
Obviously, no one should be sending hateful messages to anybody, but I do think that clearly this page has been positioned, the World of Guardian LLC, etc. It's being positioned as a business more so than her actual page, if that makes sense, which I think is a reason why people are so comfortable expressing themselves in her comments how they have been, versus if this page was, if this TikTok was mostly snippets of her life and she just mentions the book occasionally and it had her name, I think people might have not been so open. That might be me being optimistic. I am kind of laughing. People are pretty, I don't think they're being that mean in these comments, at least from what I've seen, right? Girl instead of artwork, describe the scenes with writing. Our minds will do the artwork. Yeah. At this point, you need to write a graphic novel, not a prose work. You want the aesthetic of special editions with art and all without first creating a masterwork of a novel. So just create a graphic novel since you mainly want all the pretty visual artistic things. What gets me about this recommendation is a lot of people are making it to her. She doesn't have the story for it though. Like, I guess it's possible that by storyboarding it, she might be able to tell the story better, but from the reviews, it doesn't seem like there's even really a concrete plot thought of already, Recruiting a copy editor from your audience is the worst possible idea. Yep. I'm sorry, it wasn't a misunderstanding. The book at a fundamental level is not good. Revisions and edits won't fix it. This needs to be rewritten from the ground up. Please consider this instead of adding more art and making a prettier book. So a lot of people also have this opinion that she just needs to start over with a different project. I think, obviously, given how much she's invested in this particular world, that might not be possible. But also, if it's a whole world, I'm sure there are other stories she could discover. So it's like, that's a possibility for her. I didn't even pay $30 for Onyx Storm. It's terrible.
and I will take a step back. All the people that were encouraging me and telling me to get up, Get back up. Don't let this take you down. Don't let it take your passion away from this. I appreciate you and I hear you. And I hear all the feedback that I have been given in considering it. And I cannot express how much I needed that. I needed that so badly. And thank you for that. However, criticism and bullying are two different things. In the span of a single day, I went from readers trying to help to hearing some of the most horrible things that could be said to me. So severe, in fact, that TikTok literally had to put multiple anti-bullying protections on my page. They put one on my entire page and then started to notify me of different videos that they put additional protections on because of the amount of cyberbullying that I have experienced during this time. The amount of misinformation and rumors that we saw spread in the matter of hours was absurd. There are literal hundreds of people cheering on my downfall, cheering on the failure, cheering on the death of my success. And that hurts. This has affected me. And
I mean, this is gonna sound mean, but what success? If the book had been okay, I'm sure it would have been a success. But working people up for something and then pulling the rug out from underneath them, essentially.
every aspect of my life. And I don't think I ever fully will recover from it. And that's speaking out of total honesty. This impacted my health. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. I was up having panic attacks about losing everything that kept me alive for many, many years. I was worried about losing the team, about these people that I have grown close to over a course of months. And that is scary. It is scary to lose sight of finally reaching your dreams and finally being able to live the life that you fought to live for a very long time. Hearing things like I'm a scam or that I'm just a marketing ploy, I'm trying to get money from people, that hurts on a level that runs deep, runs very, very deep for me.
Then why did you immediately open pre-orders for this new edition? You should see if you can even get it into workable condition. That's why people think that.
Because I get on here to talk about my passion. Nothing matters in the world more to me than just being able to tell stories and bring other people joy and being able to create a space for other artists to also live their passion. You know what? I found my greatest strength in that. This is everything to me. Every single thing in my life revolves around this, and I am ready to stand and fight for it. I have a voice, and I want to make a difference, and I want to do that in the best way possible because I am an advocate for artists supporting artists. I work very closely with my artists, and I think in a day and age where we are turned so much against each other as competitors, we should be allies. We should be uplifting each other. I want to be able to.
I understand writing is an art, but to call yourself an artist over a writer when you're trying to be an author is an interesting choice. And it's just worrisome, really, to hear her keep saying this is what keeps me alive, like active tense. In which case, like, do you need therapy? It sounds like something I would have said when I was not on anxiety medication. The implication is just kind of weird.
Represent the value of artistic kinship. I am dedicated to continuously pioneering through an industry by representing artists and writers equally and working together as humans to create human art. I will continue to do the best that I can with this, and I want to continue pursuing my dreams. All of this is strengthening me, and it has pushed me to stand up. It has made me aware that I can survive the worst case scenario. I can continuously push through difficult things, and I'm going to. Thank you for everybody who has been supporting me and the feedback, because I'm getting back up and I'm doing it better. And I'm going to do it the best that I can with every single thing that I have in me and get you guys a version of the book that you want.
I mean, I like how she looked up at the end to be more positive. She posted this a few days later, I believe on the 7th.
My name is Audra Winter. I am the author of this book. It was released about a month ago, And I have lived through the worst week of my life because of it in the past week. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about it, and be genuine and express the things that I have been through in the past week, because I'm literally living through my worst nightmare and my biggest heartbreak. If you're not familiar, I have spent a very long time working on this world that I started building when I was 12, and I'm 22 now. And throughout that time, it is the only thing that has stayed consistent in my life. It is the only thing that I have been able to lean on every single night and say, hey, at the end of the day, I have this and I have these stories. And even if nobody else in the world likes it, I do. And I like telling these stories. Now, I hope that other people will like it, and I would love for it to bring the same joy to other people that it brought to me. And it means a lot to me. This is not just a hobby. It is a passion. It is quite literally my entire life now, as in right now I'm sitting in my room. That is my bed next to me where I sleep, and right outside of there is my office. This is my desk that I write at. I have no escape from this, and I don't need an escape from it because it does matter to me this much. This has been the thing in this world and these stories that when I have gone through the worst parts of my life, I could look over and say, well, I have this, and I have this world, and I can't die yet before I publish this and before other people can see it, because I've worked on it this much. I would really like other people to enjoy it. I would like other people to.
I understand where she's coming from, but this seems maybe not the right place. I don't know. It just comes off as you guys made me really sad when this is all I have in my life.
Share this world that has saved my life. It is bizarre to see your will to live come alive in front of your eyes, and I started to see that back in April when I put up a pre-order listing for this book. Did not think I would sell more than 100 copies, quite honestly, and once again I posted that pre-order listing and it took off. I didn't know what to do. I was shocked. At this time I had started to build like a team of artists, but it was informal at first because I was like, well, all these people are working on different things for the series and I might as well put them in one group. And that is what I ended up doing with all the money that came in from this book. I ended up creating a studio, a whole creative studio with this, because I decided that I rather the artists that I had brought together and the artists that I saw that were bonding over these stories that I had created, people who were falling in love with this world and with these characters as much as I did in the very beginning. And I thought that was beautiful. I had, for the first time, a sense of understanding. I've kind of gone my entire life having this as such a core, fundamental part of me. And to be able to finally be recognized and let this become who I am was incredible. Even like getting.
I think that's maybe ultimately her problem, that she is really attached, really attached to this idea. I mean, I get it. I've also felt really attached to my book ideas and characters and stuff, but at a certain point, you like there's a line where it's healthy and a line where it's unhealthy.
On TikTok and talking about it, a lot of times I get a lot of comments that are like, how did you market it like this? And my genuine answer to that is, I don't know. I get on here and I talk about what I've done to get to this point and the different things that I love about it. It carried me far enough to get that many sales and to get that many. And I had the sense of understanding that I had never felt in my life before. And it was moving. It was shocking. It was moving. It was the amount of emotions that I was just thrown into in a short period of time, from the time that I listed that pre-order and the time that I established an LLC was 2 weeks. All of a sudden I was going into attorneys and I was like, what do I do? Like, I was not expecting this to happen. And I think I want to build a business off of this. Like, I want to keep being an entrepreneur. I want to put everything that I have now that I have this. Let's put it in.
Girl, you had a few thousand pre-orders. Like, I'm not sure where the leap. Why did she leap from I need to finish this book and get it printed to I'm starting a business, I'm an entrepreneur. This is everything. It's just a little scary.
This because this is what I want to live the rest of my life around. I ended up in late June, early July, packing and shipping and signing 5,000 books with a very small team, literally with my parents and 3 other people. Sarah, if you're watching this, I really appreciate you. And the last month have experienced more fear than I ever have in my entire life. That fear, surrounded the fact that I had put every single thing in me into this book, every single thing. And it is terrifying to ship 5,000 of these out to that many people at once, all receiving this highly anticipated.
Okay, I'm going to take a moment to read the text she has on the screen. Up to this point, I wrote multiple books. I had beta readers. I was in critique groups. I've completed a creative writing minor. I've attended conferences. I've written every single day since I was 12. I'd been contracted by a literary agency and worked with the developmental editors there. I made the choice to go independent when my literary agency dropped all their sci-fi fantasy writers. I could have found a new agent, but I was ready to share my story. I then hired 2 skilled industry editors, both developmental and copy. I listened, spent hours revising and changing, and I wrote pages upon pages of changes from editorial notes. I got on a call with my editor, I discussed them, I changed more. I looked at and incorporated my copy editor's suggestions. I paid 2 proofreaders, I proofread. I had a team that loved it, that understood. I marketed that I wanted to break away from the industry I felt trapped under. I wrote different. I wrote a story. I wrote to tell a story. I wrote as an art. And I tried my very best to convey to readers that I knew my writing was different. None of this matches up with the first 2 chapters she has on her Patreon.
Talked about thing. I've been on TikTok since 2018. I was there for hit or miss. I know that a lot of times, especially with like certain medias and creative avenues, it takes one negative video to spin it out of control. I actually had to go back to Kansas because I was becoming so unhealthy. I wasn't eating, and quite honestly, I'm still not. I had to go back to my parents because they were concerned about me. Everybody else was concerned about me because everybody in my personal circle knows that this is like everything to me. A couple days ago.
Then why are you back already? Why are you gonna push yourself to try and release this in December, revised and completely edited? I don't think any of this sounds healthy.
I was up early and I was scrolling through my For You page. I unfortunately came across a video of another author talking about me. I felt something change in me that moment. The amount of like heart dropping that I felt while watching that video will stick with me forever. And I open these comments and there's tons of people all going, I was worried about this video was about me until you said these numbers. I just sat there for a little bit and went, how can you say that you were worried that it would be you, and then proceed to turn around and say that about another author? When I saw that video, I closed out the app and I went to my studio space and I said, I'm fucked. Up until this point, I had very positive reader reception. I was staying aware of what people were saying, and it was way more positive than negative. But when I saw this video and I saw the things that were being said, I knew. And literally within hours, I was getting dozens of comments with pure hatred. Literally hearing some of the hardest things that I've ever been told in my life. Hearing from lots of people that you're a bad writer. Hearing from lots of people with no other thoughts other than saying that it reads like it was written by a 12-year-old, that it reads like it was middle school. that surely I was being a scam and I was doing this to scam people. It was the worst thing they ever read. I don't even want to say some of the things that I had heard. And I was getting harassed by certain people that were going on to every single one of my videos and commenting these like nasty, like really concerning, nasty things that were not constructive criticism. Here I am being told by dozens of people all at once the hardest things that I have ever heard in my life, like the biggest fears that I have, things that impacted me so much. I didn't know what to do. I turned to my team and I was like, I'm carrying all these people, these 20 people that I have hired as contractors and employees.
So obviously, anyone making comments like she described, like that's unforgivable. There's no reason to do something like that. All the comments I've seen have leaned more constructive than hateful, but I'm not trying to say that she'd never received any of those comments. I'm sure they're there if you just keep scrolling on TikTok. But then she's bringing up her employees. I'm like, you chose to jump off the deep end when you saw like a flicker of progress. I don't understand how she's supporting these artists full time as employees. I mean, that's what that's implying when there's one book and you don't really see any content other than her sharing these individual art pieces.
And I failed them. I did something wrong. First, it was like, I can't tell what I did wrong because I felt like I had done everything right up to that point. I had hired editors. I had done everything that I could to my best ability because I am one person. I have never been at a mental low than I have this past week. People commenting things like, you're saying this is affecting your safety. To which my answer is, it was affecting my safety. It literally felt like I was being crushed by the world. I have never experienced heartbreak to that level. I have never experienced fear to that level. What do I do? Like, how do I respond to these people who are being like obviously aggressive? Because if I delete comments, people are going to get mad at me. If I block people, people are going to get mad at me. So how do I deal with being harassed?
I don't think anyone would be mad at you for deleting legitimately harassing comments. It's when you're deleting any comment that is negative without being insulting, like a respectfully negative comment, like constructive criticism. If you're deleting those types of comments, yeah, people are going to call you out.
I'm still unhealthy from this. I'm still living in fear, barely eaten anything in the past like 5 days because this does mean this much to me. The worst thing that I can be told is it's a scam. It's a market. It's a market tactic. And it's all just, she got you all. There's something that cannot be more painful than knowing that you did everything that you possibly could and still not being good enough. I had that sense of understanding and it slipped away from my fingers in a matter of hours. I couldn't handle it. I don't even know how to express this as to how much this impacted me. And I'm sure that I'll get comments on this video of like, you're too sensitive, you need to back away from your craft. And that's not what it's about for me. I can't. I have never been able to in my life because I love this project.
But you're saying it is severely impacting your ability to live normally. You can't eat, you're so upset.
And I love these people that I have hired as employees, but really these are people that I talk to every single day and bond with and have fun with these characters and these, and building this much bigger project better than anything I ever could have imagined, where I felt seen and I felt heard. And there's people working on this with me, and that's all I've ever wanted for a very long time. And so also the terror of, am I going to lose this all? Especially when you are constantly getting comments that are like, it stops here, you're done, like you're not recovering from this. For a little bit I thought that was true. It felt like the world was crushing me and that there was absolutely nothing I could do, and it was the end of the line. And I couldn't see my life going back without this and without these things. I picked myself back up and I said, I'm doing everything that I can fucking possibly can to pull out of this because
I think it's a little funny how she talks about how low and broken she was, but then turns around in a week and is like really gung ho. The way she's talking about her attachment to this world, I just as a lay person, who also has depression, anxiety issues, like that's how she's presenting her attachment to this. But then when she's talking about her recovery, her actions, she is kind of doing the opposite. Like she's behaving like a healthy person would, if that makes sense. Like if I were feeling how she's describing her feelings, I would not be back in a week. Maybe that's just me.
I love the story and I love what I've created. I love the inspiration that I've given to people. I'm going to make it right. I think I have lived through the worst fear that I have had throughout my entire life. For like half my life, I've lived through it and I'm done. I've had this experience and now I can move on. Now I can get up and I can go back at it stronger and I can rebrand and do all these things and go at it with as much passion as I possibly can. Literally created this like entire company and creative studio around this, like as the start. So I said, you know what? We're going to go for it. We're all going to start working on this. And we're already all building like the rest of the series together. Let's go back.
Okay, I'm going to read the text again. I got on a call with my team for close to 5 hours brainstorming ways to make this right. We decided on our core team devoting all our time to revising and strengthening. We decided to do a search from my page for a copy editor and proofer because we have so many experts in our community. And I want to listen to my readers. We decided to release new revised chapters on Patreon for free to regain trust from our audience and show them what we've got. I decided to take the risk and offer a $15 hardcover for second buyers and give everyone a free digital copy of the revised version. That is a net loss for me. We put up a pre-order for the second version because we are our own distributor as an independent team of creatives and discontinuing print on demand because I really don't want to support Amazon. I want to make it the best I can while still being able to financially support my team and myself.
I can do it again. I'm trying to do every single thing we can, right? And from this point on, I've also learned some personal lessons. I had responded to people and been like, no, I have editors. Like, I have hired these people. I have done these things. Why is this information being like spread about me? Or people who were going after very specific things that I had done intentionally in the book. And me going, well, this is what I meant with it. And the smallest things impacted everything. Everything.
Even if you did something intentionally, if you didn't do it well, people are still going to complain.
And so I've learned now that I can't go into my comment sections. It's not easy working the job that I do. And I adore what I do. I could do it. I do it literally all day, all night. Like I'm in my bed, like on my studio. I'm out there packing and shipping things. My animal, for God's sake, both of them have like constellation colors. Like that is where we are at. Like everything in my life revolves around this because it's my special interest and I'm neurodivergent. This has been my thing my entire life. This is my entire branding as a human. With that passion and with the drive that I have to keep going, to not give up on this because I don't want to give up on my life. I've learned a very important lesson, and that's that
This shouldn't be your life. This shouldn't be your life. I mean, I guess I wish I loved something that much.
it will happen no matter what. But I've been through it now. I've had the worst things that people have told me. I've had some really wonderful words that people have told me. It's just to give a little bit perspective of who I am as a person and what this genuinely means to me. And I hope this can shed some light on what it is truly like to be in this situation. Even though it's wonderful having all of this come in and all of this happen, I've also allocated all of it back into my company. Like I pay a lot of my employees more than I do myself because this is once again what matters to me. I'm going to keep doing this as much as I can. As long as I can survive, I'm okay. I'll sacrifice everything that I need to in order to just give my stories to other people. People don't see the toll that takes on somebody and the toll and the stress and being an artist is a very strange thing in this day and age, being both an artist and an influencer, so I can be an artist. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you if you made it this far. Thank you for kind words. Thank you for all of those that have supported me along the way and very encouraging things that I have heard. There are so many people, and seeing so many people waiting for me to get back up, that gave me hope. There's people out there that are recognizing like how much heartbreak this has caused and how much devastation in my life it has caused. But I would not be able to do it.
How much devastation. Ugh. I mean, like, obviously, I've never been in her position. Like, I can't imagine feeling that rejection, but I also wouldn't have done what she did. If I promoted my book and got 6,000 pre orders, you better bet that I'm listening to everything my proofreader's telling me. I'm doing arcs to make sure people don't all hate it. I'd probably ask the meanest person I know to give me their opinion.
Without the team that I have, without the artists that I bond with, without the people that have stayed with me throughout all of this and been like, no, we're here for you. And that itself is a reason to fight. Fighting to give other artists a voice and to allow them to also live their dream and to give others hope. I want to continue doing that. And I'm going to. I would die before I gave up on this thing. I hope that at least shine some light on like what this all has done to me and how one person, one video can impact someone, especially an artist and a creative. As authors, we should be doing better to support each other. We should be lifting each other up. We should be speaking up for each other.
People always say stuff like this when they're the one being criticized. Not that I think she did anything really wrong in this scenario, but it, just takes me back to the Britt Andrews situation where she's like, women should support women. And it's like, we don't have to support bad women, like running Kickstarter scams. But
in this time where AI is replacing a lot of our jobs and with artists, and we're not. We're becoming competitors because of this market that we have been forced into. It's publishers that are quite literally, their companies trolling how books are distributed, controlling every single thing about being an author. The way we fight it is not as indie authors bringing other indie authors down. It is lifting
I think it's only a competition if you think of it as a business.
each other up. There's a lot of potential out there and a lot of authors and a lot of readers and a lot of people who have hope in this day and age. So speak up, act like an artist. You are allied. Authors are artists, and we have lost sense of that. We have diverged away from that into this is a job and an occupation in a market. So start becoming an artist again. Keep pushing. Because even if something is your will to live and the worst thing happens to it, you can still get back up. I'm not dying yet. I'm not dead yet. And I am not going to give up on it either. So thank you for listening. And
Why does she keep talking about dying? And she's the one who made it a business. She's like, you're an artist, don't think of it as a business. But then she talks about her 6-figure entrepreneurship and all her employees and having to support people and building her life doing this. Is the message supposed to be for her? This video is from Monday, August 11th.
World of Guardian, and today I am coming on here to talk about a couple of pretty large updates. We are pushing the release date of the second edition of AOS into March. I'll explain why in a second, but we took a lot of time in the past 2 weeks with everything going on to basically
I still think that's really early, but better than December.
Put together an 8-step plan for a revision process. My goal is to get through one chapter at least every week,
If all the book needed was copy editing, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. If you're unfamiliar, copy editing is specifically only the punctuation, spelling, etc. So they're not rewording things, or they shouldn't be rewording things at that point. As opposed to line editing, which is like fixing how things sound, rewording things, making sure grammar and stuff is correct and saying what you want it to say. Given all of the reviews talking about the plot just kind of diving off a cliff and flip flopping around, it probably needs developmental editing first, which isn't something that can be done chapter by chapter. Like, you can do it for a chapter, but you still need to see the whole story, the character arcs, the main action, romance, if there's anything. Like, how are those arcs all working together? Which is not a chapter by chapter process, if that makes sense.
Can, but we don't want to rush it. So, one chapter is what I really feel comfortable with based on the structure that we have built. First step in this revision process is that my team has a meeting at the beginning of every week before I start revising the chapter. Multiple of us have taken feedback from across the internet from a lot of you guys, and we like to discuss the things that are happening in each chapter and what can we do to improve it. This core team is made up of about 6 to 8 people across the arts, across different mediums, and
Why though? Why? You don't need an artist, like, you don't need a digital painter telling you how to write your book. You need an editor. Not that advice from other people isn't worthwhile, but it's certainly not the advice she needs or the advice you get first.
people who have already read the first version of the book at least once, if not twice. The second step that I am taking in this revision process is essentially reverse engineering a writing process. One of my employees is my secondary developer, Solly. I actually get on a call almost every single night for about 3 hours with Solly. And what we are doing is before I start revisions after the team meeting, we then have another brainstorming session. And this brainstorming session is me verbally describing the outline for the revised chapter that I'm doing. So going over scenes, going over plot, and I'm working through them with my words, actively talking. And Solly helps me to develop, change ideas, shift things around. But what Solly also does is Solly is an artist. And so Solly will literally draw these things while I am outlining and do some concept art for this chapter. I am then
So, a graphic novel.
writing descriptions based off of that art, which is really, really cool because it's fun to have visuals while you're writing. And the fact that I can have visuals.
I'm convinced that I have aphantasia. I don't ever see anything in my head. It kind of feels like I'm blind in my head, but I know what I'm imagining, if that makes sense. Like, I can feel that there's this person and I know their traits, like blonde, green eyed, tall, lanky, but I'm not actually seeing any of that. It's just black. And then I kind of feel them doing their stuff. So it's like someone like that, or with even worse aphantasia, I can see why that would be helpful. But as far as I know, she hasn't expressed having difficulty imagining things for herself. Like, how many pictures is this poor person having to make for each chapter?
Of the things that I am writing is even cooler. Third step, simple. I rewrite the chapter. This I do by myself because it's my writing and my story. Fourth step, the entire team goes over it again. So if there's any changes that need to be made in the storytelling, I'll do that and I'll adjust it. Fifth step, we are bringing on an in-house copy editor and proofreader. This is not just somebody from our audience. We are only hiring
Okay. She backtracked after people told her that was a bad idea.
somebody with a lot of experience in editing, preferably somebody who has been both in self and traditional publishing. And we're going through a lot of applications. That copy editor will also do some line edits. And after they're done with that, we're going to do a one on one discussion and apply those changes. Step 6 is that formatting. So, our formatter, Joe, he was the person who did all the formatting on the first edition of AOS.
That you threw under the bus, saying the ebook wasn't formatted as well as the physical book.
Is going to go in and re-put that file into the book format. After Joe does that, it will then go through another round of proofing. So somebody that has not been involved up to this point will go through and look at that brand new finalized chapter to make sure there are no errors in the actual book file. And if that
So like a beta reader?
was not enough proofing, we are taking the entire creative team, and at the end of all the finalization, we're going to go through it and check one last time if there are any errors at all. You heard me mention in the last video that there would be some changes in the artistic content in the book itself. And that is because that core team of people that help with feedback and making that outline, while I am revising and while the copy editor is editing, those people love doing the art for this thing. So they're just going to go in and do some really cool things that involve artistic storytelling along.
I'm just wondering how these people are being paid. Because at this point, it sounds like an hourly gig. And how does she have the money to pay their wages, their salary?
With literature-based narrative. So we're incorporating elements such as different like page borders, and we're doing that because there are scenes in the book where like it's a recollection of a memory, and so making that obvious by like art and outlining the page is going to be really cool. We're basically approaching this in the most artistic and creative way that we can, between how can we best revise this book based upon what it needs, what do we need for this book, what have we heard from people, and then what can we do to make it extra special and make that storytelling really shine as a team. And so that is how I built that 8-step revision process. We are completely discontinuing print on demand, so you will not be able to find this book on like Amazon or Barnes and Noble anymore. And that is because when we distribute the books and buy them from the printers, that profit goes directly back into our studio. So for those of you that have been wondering like, how in the world did I pull this all off? I acted in the same way a publisher would. So I did a lot of research on who do publishers use to print their books, how do they distribute their books. And so I found a method on the TikTok shop of distributing them myself. We buy the books in bulk, so we buy big shipments of like 5,500 books, unlike an author who has published
So what Matthew and Paul are doing.
like print on demand. We retain almost all of our profit from that book, and it goes directly back to my team. So the folks that are working on this with me get royalties. We're taking our time on this next one. We're using the whole creative team, bringing on those in-house editors.
So they're not going to be paid until you start selling the second edition? Or... And if you're ordering such big numbers, what's going to happen to all these first edition ones? There was some guy who was saying, like, oh, misprints become so valuable in the future. Think of a misprinted Mark Twain novel or something. It's suggesting that that's what's going to happen in this scenario. And I don't know. I guess 8,000 isn't a lot in the scheme of things, but
reading everything that we built up to this point into improving the book. Super excited to share those revised chapters with you guys as we go and really show people the process that we're taking and how to involve a lot of creative minds in the publication of a book and in the building of a larger series that will turn multimedia. We're going to be posting these revised chapters on our Patreon for free, open to the public. Obviously, not all of them in the book. That would not be a wise decision, but enough of them to help to rebuild trust in our audience, because I screwed up, and I know, I'm sorry. Thank you if you made it this far. I appreciate the support and the feedback from everybody up to this point. Really excited to continue sharing this world with you in the best way that we can. So welcome to the world of Guardian.
so let's look at some of the comments. Girl, take a breather. Stop with the art every page. Stop revising the book, art cover, in pages, etc. And start revising the writing. You shouldn't need a drawing of a character you describe to be able to write that character. That part doesn't even make sense. I mean, I guess for like the surroundings, okay. I did the numbers, and if we're using a conservative hourly wage, that is around $600 to $700 per week in payroll for all of your employees, specifically just for their time to help with the editing process. Does not include the extra art they're supposedly creating. In parallel, which could easily add another $1,000 if they're being paid fairly, how are you paying for all this? For the 28 weeks till March, that amounts to $18,000, excluding all the additional art you're having commissioned. Yeah, I asked that earlier. Girl, the writing isn't supposed to be based off the art is supposed to be based off the writing. It should be vivid enough for them to draw after you've written. Audra, you're the writer. Why are the artists / the team involved in writing your book? I know, at a certain point, it's like, can she even put her name? I know she can, obviously, like with Nancy Drew and stuff. I talk about that a lot. I don't understand why you're getting so much feedback on the text from artists rather than professional editors. Yeah. So here she has a weekly FAQ posted on that same day, the 11th. 1. Limited edition paperback listing timeline update. 2. Employees and contractors working underneath an author and project funding. 3. TikTok Shop pre-order listings. 4. Comment review deletion. 5. Price of first edition hardcover. 6. Price of second edition hardcover. 7. The faults in first edition Age of Scorpius. 8. Service dog questions. So some people were going on videos and saying Audra Winter's real name and that she had had a TikTok with her fundraising via GoFundMe for a service dog and insinuating that was a scam because she deleted that account. We're going to see what she says. So what's going on with the limited edition paperback pre-order? The only change to the limited edition paperback pre-order will be its release date, pushed back to spring 2026, aiming for March or April. So its content is updated to the second revised / expanded edition. All other features in the listing, cover, interior art, sprayed edges remain the same. We've totally discontinued the first edition, Age of Scorpius, so we can deliver the best story possible to our readers. If you are one of the 2,000 folks who have already pre-ordered the limited edition paperback, reach out to us via a message to our TikTok shop if you'd like to update your address or cancel the order due to the delay into spring 2026. I guess they'd be able to give refunds even if the refund window has closed? I've never heard of an author having employees and contractors. Where'd you get all the money for that? I'd never heard of it before either. My approach is, as far as I know, atypical in this industry. When I first hired artists for the book, I used a combination of my personal savings from my job and a scholarship from my university. What? After that, pre-order sales took off, and I decided to reinvest all that revenue back into the project. That means 2 things. 1, we are our own distributor. I order the books in bulk from a printer in Canada, and once I receive them, we pack and ship them ourselves. While it is an immense amount of labor, it does keep us a much larger portion of the profit than we would if we went exclusively through a print-on-demand service such as KDP, Ingram Spark, or Barnes & Noble Press. That profit gets put back into the project by, number 2, hiring on the creative team. Age of Scorpius has an art / creative team working on it that's much larger than most book series get. I believe in the power of creative people coming together to build what we love, and we aim to make our company a manifestation of that. When you buy a book from us, the money goes to us and our eco-friendly printer. That's it. No big cut to a large company like Amazon. And I mean, I will say I like the idea. Obviously, this would be a stretch for any debut author. She's in a very unique position. I just don't know why she needs so many artists. Are you following the rules with TikTok's term of service for your pre-orders? Yes, we've been careful to ensure that our listings clearly state that they are pre-orders in the name, description, and images. We explicitly outline that we send a pre-package with a bookmark, print, and note for seller fulfillment. Once the book is printed, the book is sent in a separate package. I'm not the first or only author selling on TikTok to use this method. See D.A. White Writes, Tide Turners, Books and More, books by R.A. Dines, Julia Hayes, Violet Taylor author, C.A. Varian, and Azala Press. All listings in the TikTok shop must be manually approved by TikTok before going public, and ours have been approved multiple times. The TikTok shop's official pre-order feature, where the 60-day rule applies, is currently only available to select sellers, not including us. This is a different listing option built into the TikTok shop that does not allow to send our pre-order bubble mailer with bookmark, note, and print. Do you delete comments and reviews on TikTok? I don't look at my comments past the first 10 to 20 minutes of a new post because of the amount of traction I have right now. The only comments I delete contain personal information about me or my team. If you posted a comment that doesn't contain that and it gets deleted, it was likely flagged by TikTok's anti-bullying protections. Those are controlled by an algorithm, so sometimes it flags comments it shouldn't, and doesn't flag comments it should. Sellers on the TikTok shop do not have the power to delete reviews. I understand there's also concern that our pre-order process has the intent to create false positive reviews due to the 60-day limit on reviewing a product after delivery, which begins after the delivery of the bookmark package, not the actual book. I have 3 responses to this. 1, this was absolutely never my intention, but I can understand how it looks shady. Yeah, girl. 2, customers are able to edit their review at any time once submitted, and several people did so, reviewing the book's content once it arrived. 3, I had a listing that wasn't a pre-order. The misprints of the first edition, Age of Scorpius, now sold out, had a 4.8 star rating with 10 reviews, several of them mentioning the story. Ultimately, my goal is not to prevent people from giving honest feedback. Listening to that very feedback that has led me to making the revised edition. Why did I pay $50 for this book? The first edition hardcover was a discounted $27.99 book sold at $23.99 for the entire duration of its pre-order period. This does not include shipping, which can vary depending on the buyer's location. The price of shipping is set by the TikTok shop. I imagine some folks did pay an amount closer to $50 if they lived far away, Alaska or Hawaii, for instance, but this was not the norm. I've seen a lot of posts, though. Why'd you raise the price of the second revised/expanded edition hardcover? The revised edition will cost more to print as it will have a higher page count due to extra content. I am also welcoming an experienced copy editor and proofreader into our team, and I want to compensate them fairly. However, I've listened to the frustration around this decision, and I realize I need to focus on reestablishing reader trust. To that end, I'm lowering the price of the second edition hardcover to $24.99, previously $29.99, for new buyers. Buyers of the first edition are still eligible to pre-order the second edition at $15, with an option for a free digital copy of the revised second edition. Check the link tree in my bio to access these discounts. If you are one of the 25 people who have already purchased a revised hardcover here on TikTok, send us a message through TikTok Shop and we can help you out. Can you explain what went wrong with the first edition of Age of Scorpius? I spent a lot of time reflecting on this question in the past 2 weeks. My developmental editor said the plot was ready, but recommended a strong copy edit before publication. Even though I hired a copy editor and proofers, the final phase of implementing their suggestions overlapped with the deluge of thousands of unexpected book pre-orders. I was suddenly in a frenzy with establishing a business, setting up payroll, packing and shipping thousands of bubble mailers, and adapting the shock of my entire life being turned upside down in a matter of weeks. In retrospect, I was exhausted and overwhelmed, but I felt immense pressure to deliver to all my new readers. I thought I was putting my best effort into finalizing the copy edits and proofing, but failed to recognize the external factors impacting my overall health and mindset. Unfortunately, I genuinely had no clue that this was a problem until the books were in people's hands. I really do not want this to happen again, and that's why I'm extending the timeline into next spring so I have time to do this revision properly. Okay, so she's basically saying she had people edit it and give suggestions, and then she ignored them all. Did you scam people when you crowdfunded for a service dog? 2 years ago, I crowdfunded to raise funds for my service dog a $19,500 prescribed medical aid. My state's disability vocational program paid for part of these costs, but I was responsible for the remaining balance. When this crowdfunding page was brought up as a part of the controversy surrounding Age of Scorpius, I immediately deleted it because it contained sensitive and personal information about me and my mental health, which was circulated maliciously without my consent. I deliberately avoid talking about my service dog on my page because I am occasionally recognized in public, and involving my service dog in my post would increase the frequency of this. Like, is her dog super unique? I mean, I don't know. I can't tell golden retrievers apart. While I deeply appreciate my audience, I also want to retain my privacy, and I hope you can respect that. My service dog keeps me happy and healthy, and I'm actually quite angry and upset that this has been used against me. I have a PTSD diagnosis, and my service dog has been life-changing for me. The comment I saw talking about this implied that she fundraised and then deleted her TikTok so nobody knew what happened. That's good that she actually did what she said. Send us your questions. Answers to comments will be posted every Monday. We want to be open and transparent with you all. We're happy to take on any topic that has to do with me or the larger World of Guardian team. So there are only 19 comments on this. What if we purchased the first edition, just SOL, and stuck with this piece of TikTok history? LOL. Not taking any of the editor's notes is a really odd corner to cut. Yeah. I'm just curious why you didn't do arcs. I'm happy you're listening to feedback and working on all of the criticism that you guys have received. It makes me want to stick this through to give Age of Scorpius a fair shot. I might have missed this, but I'm wondering how long pre-orders for the second edition will be available. I would love to support an order at the discounted price. However, I do want a chance to see some of the revised work first. Will that be feasible? And one of the team members responded, yes, we're working on the revisions now and we'll be posting them publicly later this month. So that is the last of her updates. I'm interested to see what happens when they start uploading the updated chapters, especially since they say that'll happen this month. That gives them 2-ish more weeks, 2.5 weeks maybe? I'm sure her previous editors actually did a good job and she just didn't take their suggestions, but hopefully these new ones are either more persuasive or a little stronger. and strong arming her into accepting their suggestions. It'll be interesting to see how many pre-orders she gets this time. I'm wishing her all the luck. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I genuinely hope that she is successful in this venture, but I do think it's funny that a lot of people are blaming this on her age when she's a college graduate. I'm not going to say I was a genius when I graduated college either. So, well, that's all I have for you today. I will see you next time.